Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to today's class. Today's class is Hatha 2. The classes that I've been using, the base level classes are great, especially if you have injuries. And this class is an extension of that. So at some point, if you've been doing yoga long enough, the poses that you're using are obviously great base positions, but to further along your growth, I'm introducing poses that I really believe in and exercises that I really believe in that can help you get to those places. Because if you continue to use the same poses, you'll start to plateau and it might not give you what you really want or need. So before we start the class, I have a new class, and it's on Wednesday nights, and it's from 6:30 to 7:30. It's going to help rehabilitate hips, shoulders. It's based to help relax and to de-stress people. It's something that I use daily. These techniques are something that I use on top of practicing more dynamically. So that's a great class. If you know someone that's really struggling, they could register for that class on my website. It's jonwittyoga.com. I have updated my calendar for the month, so you can see all the classes that I teach, my live classes here, and then my Zoom classes Wednesday night, and then I have a Zoom class, another base class, and that's on Sundays, and that's from 10 to 11. So I'm started in a seated position. I'm sitting in Virasana, and I'm sitting on my feet, and when I sit on my feet like this, it's gonna help rotate the tibias where they need to be. So if the feet splay out or they splay in, getting the feet to be more neutral will help reestablish the tibia, which can really help with your knees. So if your knees give you trouble, you could sit higher in this position. But I'm just sitting here. At some point, I could sit lower. If I need to, I can sit higher. But I'm gonna alternate going into a toe position. So I'm gonna sit back on my toes. Now my toes are tucked, and with my toes tucked, I'm gonna sit back on the heels. So say it's unbearable, you could come down, and this could be more of a motion, like you can sit back on the feet, but really just stretch out the feet. And I've said this before, is that it'll really help with the flexibility of the whole entire body. You work with the fascia of the feet or the hands. It's basically a roadmap for the whole entire body. So I'm gonna come forward on my hands and my knees. Again, if it's unbearable, I'm gonna sit back on my feet again. And then when I sit back on my feet, I'm gonna sit back a little bit, which is gonna help with some extension. So just a basic warm up, right? Just to get you in your body. The more relaxed you are, the more opportunities it'll be to do more things outside of your capabilities just yet. So I'm gonna come back, where I'm gonna tuck the toes, and I'm gonna sit back on the heels. So when I sit back on the heels, I'm gonna shake out my left hand. And it could be really minimal, right? But in shaking out the hand, it can really help with your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder. And like I said, it could be really just like a minimal shake, right? And then go to the right hand and shake out the right hand. And you can notice that there's different levels of tension between the two hands, the two wrists, the two elbows, the two shoulders, and the two arms. So I'm gonna go into shaking both hands. So just getting the hands to shake. Again, if I'm more of a right-handed person, it's good to shake the left arm more. You know, it could be overhead, 90-degree angle. It could be down low. It's not necessarily anything is one better than the other. And then just come back into a neutral position and then go back to sitting on the feet. So sit back on the feet. Take the hands, the left hand behind you. So you're a bit on an angle, right? Creating a bit of a twist. So I really believe in asymmetrical back bends. They're much easier on your lower back. Not to say that the classic linear line is bad, but this for me, I never ever have pain in my back when I do rotational back bends, with the exception of something that's really quite small. Like if, this is kind of a smaller shape, but like from a squat, that type of rotation is really, really heavy on the lower back. Come up and then switch over, slide over to the right hand. Know that your knees could be apart. The right hand could be further back away from you. And again, you get a nice twist, a good rotation, And especially if you're doing lots of physical practice, the more we sit in Virasana, the better your tissues will respond in flexion, right? We're flexing the knees. So take 2 deep breaths, breathe in, breathe out, and then come back up. And then when you come back up, come into an all 4 position. So in all 4s, just move the weight around hand to hand, side to side. Keep the weight forward in the front of the fingers, and get used to using your fingertips and your knuckles. So not that you need like a crazy amount of pressure in the hands, but from time to time you can use that, and it points being upside down, you may actually need it. So it's good to kind of turn it on, know how to turn it on. And a lot of times when people are upside down in a handstand, they're not really pushing nearly as much as they should. So it's good to push quite strong through the hands in that type of exercise. Right? Come back into the middle and turn the hands to the sides. So you turn the hands to the sides. You'll notice that the shoulders are going past the line of the wrist. That's not really where you want to be in balancing on a handstand, but let's say you do come forward past that line in the wrist. It's good prep work to do so that because if you come excessively forward, which we do from time to time, you're not going to hurt your wrist, right? And that's common with people learning handstands. So come back into the middle and just push through the hands and round your back into a scapula push-up, and then let the chest drop down, and then push. And this pushing is really what you're applying. And if you're not applying this push, it's very difficult to do a handstand, right? Lower the chest down, and then push through the hands, round your back, and then what we're going to do is take the knees up off the floor. So when you push through the hands and you round through the spine, just lifting up, just turning on my abdomen so that my ribs are in, and then this will help with your handstand work, right? Then step back into a plank, and then just move the weight around a little bit, right? If you're new to this, come back down on the knees and do that. But if you can, just move the weight around a little bit, and that'll help. Then just turn the right hand out to the right, move it around. Bring it back into the middle, turn the left hand up to the left. And by moving your hands in plank is a lot like what you'll need for transitioning and using the wall or learning how to walk on your hands. Come back into the middle with the left hand forward. And if you can, come onto the tops of the feet. So push through the hands, hollow out the front of your body, right? Take a couple deep breaths here, and then tuck the toes and lift back up into a down dog. And in a down dog, pedal the legs out, especially if you're a person that runs, right? You're very active. Calf muscles can get really, really tight and kind of gluey. So in having, reaching through the heels will help release the calf muscles, right? Take a couple deep breaths here and moving. And then walk the hands back towards the feet. So transfer the weight side to side. Walk the hands back forward. Come back into a plank. Come onto the tops of the feet again if you can. So push through the hands, round through the shoulders. Take a couple more breaths here. All right, tuck the toes. Transfer the weight to the left hand. Walk it back towards the feet. You're in a standing forward fold. Just take a couple deep breaths here. Breathe in, breathe out. And then I'm going to walk the hands back forward last time. And then in walking forward, just a couple deep breaths. Push through the hands, round the back, round the shoulders. And again, this is a lot like your handstand. You get better in plank. You'll certainly get better in eventually being able to be upside down. Go back up into down dog, and in down dog what we're going to do is take the right leg up to the ceiling and bring the knee and nose together. Pull it in, take it up, take it outside the right elbow, bring it up, bring it outside the left elbow, take it back up, and then bring the right leg kind of outside of the left hip. So open up the hip, extend the right leg out, bring it into a bent position, but keep opening up the hip and then straighten the leg out. Right, bring the knee and nose together one time. Take it back up and step the right foot forward in between the hands, the feet, and take the right arm up to the ceiling. Now my right hand's into a fist. I'm going to rotate the right shoulder out. I'm going to rotate it in. I'm going to rotate it back out. I'm going to rotate it in. I'm going to rotate it out and take the arm up. I'm going to bring it forward overhead. Just moving the arm just to help with the shoulders for you. Take the right arm up to the ceiling and bring the right hand down. All right, step back into a plank. Lower as slow as you can, height of the elbows. Come all the way down. Come up into a low cobra. More for just warming up. Bring yourself down. Tuck the toes. Lift straight up into a plank. Go up into a down dog. Take the left leg up to the ceiling. The left leg is high. Bring the knee and nose together. Bring it up. Bring the knee outside the left elbow. Take it up. Bring the knee outside the right elbow. Take it up. And then bring the knee and nose together. Pull it back in. Take it back up. And then take the left leg up and open up through the hip. Right? And then bend the left knee and think of reaching for the wall that's behind you. But try not to deviate through the right leg. Take the left leg up, open the hip, bend the knee, and extend the left foot behind you like you're doing, wheel. Right, take the left leg up, bring the knee and nose together, take it up, and then step the left foot forward, top of the mat. You're in a lunge. I like armpit and knee to start, right, to open up the shoulders. Take the left arm up to the ceiling. So the left arm is high. I'm going to rotate my left shoulder out. I'm going to rotate it in. I'm going to rotate it out. I'm going to rotate it back in. Right, bring the left hand down, and with the left hand down, step back into a plank. Hold the plank. Push through the hands, round the shoulders. Spin the heels to the left side, and take the right arm up. Right hand could be open or closed. Have the weight in the front of the left hand, and lift through the hips. Bring the right hand down, spin the heels to the right side, and take the left arm up to the ceiling. So again, have the weight in the front of the right hand, use your knuckles. It's not bad to come out of each side when you need it, right? That's just smart practice, and then you'll be able to build up and hold longer. Sometimes some people hold and they're not really holding very well. That can be a mistake, right? Bring the left hand down and go back up into a down dog. Go all the way back up into a down dog, and then walk the feet forward to the middle of the mat and walk your feet forward, walk your hands back. Come into a low squat if you can. And just kind of move the weight into the left foot, into the right. You could do circles, doing like a half circle. Right, back to left foot and then to right. You could just be sitting, neutral, right? Fold forward into a forward fold and roll yourself up to standing. So roll yourself up and bring your arms down. Take the arms up overhead, Get into a hollowed position. So when you're in an overhead position in a handstand, you want the tailbone to move down. You want the glutes to be working. You want the ribs to stay in. And all this time you're pushing really hard through the hands, right? I don't look to the hands when I'm in a handstand. I try to get my head down more and more so that'll take the arc out of your back. Come up onto the toes, lift the heels off the floor. And then lower the heels and exhale, lower the arms. I'm gonna turn towards you. Take your feet out into a wide stance, turn the feet out. And with the feet turned out, bend the knees into a horse stance and drop down through the pubic bone and push the thighs apart. So just a basic pushing the legs apart, really good for the interior of the hips, interior of the thighs, the adductors. Take the arms out wide, turn the thumbs up and rotate the thumbs or move the thumbs to the back of your room, wherever you're at. So push through the feet, just come up a little bit higher, especially if you're a person that has a tendency to sit lower. That can be more beneficial. And sit down, right? And then bring yourself back up. Now, let's say that's difficult for you. Just keep your legs straight. Maybe skip the second set. I'm gonna move my feet out a little bit wider. And with my stance out a little bit wider, there's more of a stretch through the inner thighs, right? Take the arms out, bend the knees. And you know, as you get wider, it's not necessarily better, but it can be, right? If you're really trying to expand your body more in terms of flexibility. So push the knees apart. You could sit as low as the knees. You could sit lower, right? If you wanted to. Bring yourself back up, bring your arms down, and then just bring the feet into a wider position. You're gonna turn the feet out a little bit. And I've been using this a lot. The class is basically just getting familiar with a deeper squat, right? So go into your left foot, just sit into it, not sit as low. Bring yourself up, go into the right foot. So go into the right foot, expand. How you position your back foot is what will stretch out, right? My foot's down, it's more inner thigh, right? Bring yourself up to the left side again. So if my foot's turned out or turned in, like I said, it's gonna add a different effect into the inner thighs and the hamstrings. Bring yourself up. Now go to the right, and when you go to the right, when you sit down, sit maybe not as low as you can, but sit to a point where it's a little bit deeper, and then start to turn the left foot up, and then you'll be more into the hamstring. Keep lifting yourself up away from the floor. I've said this before, use an external weight for balance. Push through the right foot, travel into the left foot, sit, you know, somewhat deeper. That point that you can't sit any deeper, you turn your foot up, you'll be more in your hamstring, and that'll help you in sitting lower. Not that lower, but this is a one-legged squat, right? But when you come up, push through the left foot, drive through the foot, bring yourself up. We're gonna go to the right side one more time. Wide thighs, turn the left foot up. Sit nice and low, sit nice and upright. Right hand could be on the inside of the leg. You could squeeze into the arm with the leg. That'll help for your middle splits. Bring yourself up. Carry over into the left foot. Sit again, not super low. If you can't, use anything to keep yourself up. And you'll see which hamstring is more flexible. Like my right hamstring is much more flexible. It's much easier to sit like this on this side. So push through the left foot, bring yourself up, and then just bring the feet in a little bit closer. You could hop them back together, just in an upright position, standing position. So come down on your hands and your knees. Push the hands into the floor, round through the back. Okay, look forward, look up, back bend. Exhale, round the spine, round your back. Right? And then come back into a neutral position. So be up on your knuckles, move the weight forward into the hands, so you're adjusting the wrist a little bit differently. You need extra padding, flip the top of your mat. That's always a good way to do it. You can move it back, you can move it forward. And just a little bit of extra weight can really help with manipulating the wrist, the tissues around the wrist, so they stretch out better for you. I mean, it could be all the way down if you wanted to, right? And then just bring the back of your right hand to the floor. Still stay on the fist. Stay in a closed position with the right hand. Then bring the fist up and then be on the left hand. Now, my left hand is more difficult to do, so I'll open and close the hand. That'll strengthen the forearm and it'll stretch out the forearm as well to open up the wrist. Then turn the hands forward. So have the hands just underneath the shoulders. Scapula push up through the shoulders. Lift the knees up off the floor. Get hollow through the front of your body. Right? And this is your handstand. So if you're a person that's new, continue to do side plank, do plank. If you're learning to kick up, I'm going to teach you how to kick up at the wall. You don't want to be too close to the wall, because you could hit yourself. You can't kick up. Keep working on getting your legs stronger. You can repeat all these classes on YouTube. They're all uploaded. You could just keep doing them, every day, every other day. So I'm going to come forward to the wall, and I'm going to push through the hands and I'm around the spine. So if you can kick up and you can stay up, great. But let's say you can't kick up. Kick up, come down. Kick up, come down. Be really strong and diligent in keeping your arms straight. Your arms bend, that's when you have that's when it gets a bit scary, and if my arms were bending, I'd stick with, again, planks, side planks. So when I'm pushing through the hands, I'm gonna keep my right leg down. I'm gonna move my shoulders over my hands. This is really essential. If your shoulders aren't over your hands, your wrists, you won't balance, right? So swing the right leg up and then bring it down. But keep gripping the floor. Swing it up, bring it down. I'm just doing this if you can't come up, right? Lift up, push through the hands. Now when you look to the hands, try to look towards the heel of the hand as opposed to looking towards the fingertips. Keep pushing through the hands really, really strong. And by pushing really strong, the shoulders support you. Keep the belly and the ribs in. You could point the feet or flex the feet. You know, pointing is probably a little easier to learn, and then flexing has its place. So squeeze the legs together. Take 3 more breaths if you can. Notice which hand has more weight to it. And then when you come down, you could bring your knee, bring the one leg down, come down really slow, and come into a low squat. And when you come into a low squat, sit on a block if you can't, squat like this, and just move the fingers independently. Just to take the pressure off the wrist if you have any. It's a bit of a learning curve, but like running, you're developing the tissues so that you can be upside down on them. But the more strength you use, again, you'll be more successful in doing this type of work. So come back into a standing forward bend. And in a standing forward bend, just fold all the way forward. Take the hands to the left side, change the angle. Take the hands to the right. Take the hands back into the middle. Move yourself forward in space, and then step back into a plank. So in a plank, come onto the tops of the feet again. And as slow as you can, lower yourself down to the height of your elbows. Bring yourself down. Come up into a Sphinx pose. And then in Sphinx, keep pulling yourself forward towards your hands. So sometimes in being upside down, the back can get involved. I'm going to take my left arm out to the left. I'm going to push down through my right arm. I'm going to bring the left arm down. I'm going to take the right arm out to the right. So I'm just keeping my arm in a 90-degree angle because I don't have the room to do it, but arm could be straight up to the side, and then bring the arm down. Come all the way down, have the hands just underneath the shoulders. Curl up into a low cobra or a high cobra. Get weight in the hips. Lift through the head, lift through the chest. Lift through the collarbone. Right? And come all the way down, and as you come down, have the hands just underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes. Lift straight up into a plank, and go back up into a down dog. Go all the way back into a down dog. Take a couple deep breaths here. Right? Now, if you're having a difficult time stepping forward to the top of the mat, I really recommend blocks. So when you're on blocks, we'll just do a little bit of some sequencing just to help mobilize you and to keep you strong. And I think that's a big part of why people love yoga so much, is that they feel so good. So I'm going to do that sequence. So I'm going to come up into a plank. I'm gripping the blocks. And as I'm pushing through the hands, I'm going to pull back up into a down dog. So you could be on the lowest level as well, right? So take the right leg up to the ceiling, pull the knee into the nose, and this time open up through the hip. Bring the knee into the chest, into the nose. Take it out to the right, open up through the hip. Bring the knee into the nose last time. Bring it up, and then when you get to the top, straighten the right leg out and step the right foot forward into a low lunge. And come up into a high lunge. Come up with your arms, your upper body. Open and close the hands. Still, if you have pressure in the hands, the wrist from the handstand. So take a couple deep breaths here. Bring the left hand down into the floor and take the right arm up to the ceiling. So right arm is high, left hand is low, right arm is up. And then bring the right hand down, get to the elbow with the left hand. Right? Then take the right arm up to the ceiling. So open up a little bit more through the shoulders. You can open and close the right hand. Right, bring the right hand down and bring the back knee down the floor and sit the hips back. As you sit the hips back, come forward over the right leg, come forward over the left leg if you want more space into the back. Take a couple deep breaths here. Bring yourself up. And then what I'm going to do is use my blocks to help in trying to take my right leg up off the floor. So this is more for Hanumanasana, right? Bring the right leg down. Bring the blocks more forward if that was easy. And take the leg up off the floor. And then bring it down. Take the hands forward more. Point through the foot or flex through the foot. It's much easier to do with a pointed foot. And then bring it down. So come into like a long lunge here. A little bit longer. So take the back knee off the floor. And with the back knee off the floor, just move the left foot back a little bit more. And you're getting more and more into the splits. So I'm doing it this way. Use a chair, of course, to support you so that you get more work into the hip. So we could go up against the wall for couch pose, which is great, right? But I almost like this more in some ways, especially at this time of the year because you can do it anywhere, anytime. You could be on the heel of your right foot or you could have the right foot flat. It's more difficult to balance when you're on the heel. So come forward back into that lunge again. So you might have to make it a bit shorter. Bring the left elbow into the floor. Take the right arm up to the ceiling. Bring the right hand down and step the left foot, or actually step back into a plank again. So I come back into plank. I'm protracting through the shoulders. All repetitive work for your handstand. Lower to a chaturanga, low push-up. Bring yourself up into an up dog. And then pull back up into a down dog. Pull all the way back. Push through the hands. Rotate the shoulders out. Take the left leg up to the ceiling. Bring the knee and nose together. Take it up. Bring the knee and nose together. Take it up. When you take it up, you're going to take it out to the side. Full rotation, right? Bring the knee and nose together. Rotate it out. And you'll see which hip is weak. And then my left hip is weaker. You can pull it in. Take it out. So it's like really great because you're moving through space. Take it back up. Bring the knee and nose together. And step the foot forward. So the left foot is forward. Come up into a high lunge. Again, if you're a person like myself, you'll need more of a posterior tilt. So pubic bone down, pubic bone, or tailbone down, pubis up. And then in getting that, you'll for me, it's so good for my lower back and just sitting, standing, walking. Bring the hands down. Take the left arm up to the ceiling. Stay in the block if you need to. Rotate the left shoulder back. I've been using these a lot, more of a corkscrew. And then bring the right hand down flat. And if you can, get to the right elbow. And then take the left arm up to the ceiling. Keep the back leg lifting. Open through the chest, open through the shoulders. Bring the left arm down. And then take it up. Couple deep breaths here. Have good weight in the left foot. Bring the left hand down. Bring the right knee down. And sit the hips back again. So sit the hips back. You can point through the foot. You can flex it. Right? You can take the right hand on the outside of the left ankle. So you're forward, you're down. More for the hamstring, right? Take a couple deep breaths here. And bring yourself up. And then when you come up onto your blocks. If you like using them, if you need them. So I'm going to flex the foot. My hands are just above the level of my knee, just behind. I'm going to take my left leg up off the floor. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to take the hands forward if it's easy. And again, just because it's easier to have your hands back here, it might be more beneficial. More forward is, it's good, right? But it might not be really the best place for you to strengthen your left hip flexor. So take it up last time and then bring it down. Now keep your stance long. See how I have my blocks here? I'm going to lift my back knee off the floor And then I'm gonna come into, say you don't have a chair, right? I'm gonna use 1 block or 2 blocks on the outside of my left leg. And then I'm just making the stance longer. But all this, you know, I've said this before, you want to think of splits or side splits as you're getting stronger in the position, not just flexible. If you support yourself with strength, you can eventually develop this where you can do it just about anywhere, anytime. So you can lift up through the upper body. And I think that's way more valuable than having to warm yourself up and, you know, getting into the biggest expression, whether it's be front splits or side splits. So bring the hand down, the right hand down, make the stance a bit shorter, right? And then step back into a plank. So use the blocks if you like the blocks. Step back, hollow through the front of the body, lower to a low push-up, bring yourself back up into an up dog, and then pull back up into a down dog. So go back. Now come down onto your knees, and then when you come down on your knees, tuck the toes and sit back on the feet. And then when you're sitting back on the feet, make your hands into fists. So you're in a cactus position. Take the hands forward. And with the hands forward and the hands moving down, the shoulders are rotating. And then take the arms up to cactus position. So it's getting hotter and hotter as we get more into the summer. So if this is not a good time for you, I'd be happy to teach this class earlier. You can bring the hands forward and down. You can take it back. I just made it this time because I used to have classes around this time. So I just thought it was a good time for some of the people I used to teach. You can bring the arms down. So untuck the toes and sit back on the feet. And then when you sit back on the feet, know that your knees can be wider. I'm going to go back with my left hand and possibly go back into my elbow. All right, so again, you're getting more of a rotation, more of the front of the body opens. Again, when you get really warm, you know, it's eventually you can do just handstands, right? 20-minute, 60-minute practice, and that's great. But the reason I'm doing this as way as I am, and it's like any yoga class, most vinyasa classes, is that you're noticing that there's almost like breaks in between that you can kind of recalibrate or kind of get your wind again, and then you go back into like something strong. So a lot of things are kind of layered like that, which is smart if you don't have a lot of strength or endurance. Bring yourself up and then come back, tuck the toes and sit back on the feet. And this is, you know, I'm getting more and more into movement type of practices. This is really a base position for a lot of different movements. So it's a good thing to learn, and, you know, again, great for your feet, your lower body. Come back onto the tops of the feet, bring the right hand back, and then with the right hand back, you can get into, so again, there's many layers to this. So when I go here, it's not as low as I was before, but it's still really good. So I could stay here, you could go lower. I'm getting a good rotation through the spine, and if you're a person like myself, like back bending's never been easy for me, you know? But the more I twist, the easier my back bends are getting. And just it's really, really good for your breathing. You know, the better the thoracic moves, the more freely you'll be able to breathe. So you could be looking down, you could be looking up, you can bring yourself up, and then when you come back up, tuck the toes. I'm going to place the blocks beside me, and I'm going to lift my knees up off the floor. I'm going to bring the knees down, and I'm going to take them up. So if you've never done this before, blocks are really necessary. Not that it's better to have the hands down and not use the block, but it's really good to use the block because then you can teach the pattern of pulling the legs in. And what's eventually very good, once you get a good line in your handstands where it's straight, you can start working more of a tucked handstand. And then you can work it longer, and that's really great for the development of the shoulders. So just bring the knees down, and that's why I'm kind of doing this is when you get a straight line and you can hold it for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, something like that, you can start working more of a tuck handstand. And at some point I'll teach that, or maybe I'll do it now, right? I'm gonna go back into a standing forward bend. And then as you hang forward, just take the hands to the left side, change the angle. Take the hands to the right, change the angle. Take the hands back in the middle. Roll yourself up to a standing position. So roll up. As you roll up, stand back up. And then take the arms up overhead. And in a thumb lock, get hollowed through the front of the body. If the weight's in the toes, this is what it's like when you're on your hands. If the weight's in the front of the hands, you'll be arcing your back more. And then if you really like this type of work, at some point you might be like, wow, my back really hurts. So you want to be able to keep your hips in line with your shoulders, and that'll protect your lower back. It's more like a nagging type of sensation. You know, I've never heard of anybody having like a serious back problem from handstands, but it's more of like, do you really want that pain in your back? So hook the thumbs, come up onto the toes with the heels off the floor. Take 3 deep breaths. And then you can lower the heels and you can bring the arms down. And then what we'll do is we'll come up into like you can kick up like we did before. We're gonna use the wall again, but you could also learn to come up in like more of a donkey kick type of way, which is good. Some people really frown upon it. Like I said, anything that's gonna get you started and get you into it, I think is great. And then eventually you can do it more refined, right? So when you bring your hands to the wall, you want to be really light in hopping, but where you really want to be light is coming down. So think of having no sound and coming down, and that'll just make you stronger. And over time, it gets smoothed out, right? So have the hands underneath the shoulders, push through the shoulders. Push through the hands to get into the shoulders, round your back. Keep the rounding of your upper back, and then when you come up, keep the shoulders over the hands. So you should feel a good significant amount of weight in the hands, right? Now I'm going to hop up a couple times, maybe up on the third time. And then when you come up, you could stay in a tuck position, or you could straighten your legs out. Like I said, try to keep your eyes to the heels of your hands. Keep your belly from flaying forward and get into your glutes. Push really, really strong through the hands. Again, use your fingertips. Breathe in, breathe out. Say you came down. Go up again if you can. Right, keep pushing through the hands. And then slowly come down if you can. One leg at a time, right? Lower down. Nice and slow. And then come into just a squat again. Move the fingers. Move the hands. Move the wrists. Right, just get the hands to move a little bit more. Right, and then just flick the fingers. Right, and then when you come down and do a low level squat, so you could grab I'm gonna twist to my left first. I could grab my left ankle with my right hand. I could grab my right foot with my right hand. It's really more, if you want, what's important is that you keep your shoulder on the inside of your right knee, and then take your left hand behind your head and then start to rotate through the chest. So drive the right elbow into the floor or into the knee, the thigh, and then bring your left elbow down. You have a lot of flexibility in your back. Your elbow will touch, and then bring it up. Turn through the chest, push out through the right arm, and literally you'll feel the tissues moving out of the way. Like you might be like, I'm stuck. You spend more time in it, especially like a pose like this, you'll see how things will respond. You can bring the left hand down. Take the left arm out to the left, have the right hand behind the head, and then turn through the chest, turn through the upper body, and then, again, what we did in Virasana, in that rotation Virasana, you'll start to see like that this will help this position. They go hand in hand. So lean back with the head, then bring the right elbow forward, bring it down, push through the feet, and rotate up. And you could take your arm up, right? Just the hand behind the head, I like it because it adjusts more of the upper back a little bit more. But I do take my arm up, it just depends on what I'm working on, right? Fold forward into a forward fold. As you fold forward into a forward bend, just take the hands to the left side, take them to the right, bring them back into the middle, and roll yourself back up. So you come back up, come into the middle of your mat with your feet, and take your feet out nice and wide for another horse stance. So turn the feet out. As you turn the feet out, come into just a bit of a squat, right? Not super low. Take the arms out wide, push the thighs apart, and get your tailbone to move down. So you might be able to hold this for X amount of time, but if I'm not leveling out my pelvis, it's not that it's easy. It's always going to be difficult on some level, but when I get my pelvis to be more underneath me, it gets difficult really quick. And not that you want it just to be difficult, but you want things to work as they should, right? So push the knees apart, lift yourself back up, take the stance a little bit longer, and then with the stance longer, keep the feet turned out. I'm gonna go back into a bit of a Cossack series. So move over into the left foot, and again, big reason I'm doing this is so that you get stronger through your legs. Drive through the left foot, bring yourself up, lean into the right side. Again, when it gets painful, right, you don't sit as low as anyone that you see doing this. It's really not that important. The left foot's turned up. Drive through the right foot, bring yourself up, go into the left foot, and slowly descend with strength, then sit, turn the foot up, right foot's turned up. Push strong through the left heel. Push through the left foot, bring yourself up. Lean into the right side. As you lean into the right, left foot's turned up. Take a couple deep breaths. Right, push yourself back up. And then what you're going to do is take the feet out a little bit wider if you can. So the feet out a little bit wider, more inner thighs, more into the hips. Take the arms out wide. I say this all the time. You have pain in your knee or your hip, it means that you need support. Don't rely so much on the support as you get better in it. So this is what I'm talking about, is use your hands as minimally as you can so that you can get stronger around the joints. And then, not that it's better not to use the hands, it's just you have enough strength to hold the poses as we should. It's not just about getting low, and you want to be able to use this in a number of ways, right? So you can bring the feet in a little bit closer, and then when you bring the feet in closer, you can step the feet back together, and you're going to be able to use it, but it feels great, right? It's great for expanding the body, right? So I'm going to do one more handstand, but like I said, if you can't, do side plank, do plank on your elbows. All of this will factor into helping you come up. Again, let me know if you have injuries or something like that. It's great that you want to do other things, but if you get through your injuries, then you'll be able to practice more dynamically, live more freely, right? So to come up on this way, it's like the walking. So if you can't walk up the feet up the wall, my face is going to be towards the wall. So if you can't walk up like that, remember when we walk back in down dog? That's much easier to do, but it's similar, right? So when I go back to the wall, I'm going to have my hands here. I usually take my right leg up. I'm going to take my left leg up. As I take my left leg up, I'm going to move my hands in, and this could be Hanumanasana, right? It's a great way of developing Hanumanasana. So I'm going to take my right leg up, transfer the weight into my right hand, and then I can pick my left hand up, right? Then I'm not asking you to do that, but just move the weight around so that you can get back. The hands not all the way to the wall, but my toes are to the wall, and I'm trying to bring my head or my nose to the wall, not my ribs. So if I bring my ribs to the wall, I'm really using my back in not a very healthy way. So push through the fingertips, right? Push really strong through the hands.
And when you come out, you gotta come out before it's too late, right? So move the weight to the left hand, move the weight to the right, move it out, move it back in. And then when you come to here, if you're still with me, right, bring your feet down nice and slow. And come out clean, gracefully as you can, right? Just so that you're not hurting yourself. And that's why I tell my son this all the time. It's easy to climb up a tree. It's much more difficult to get down. So you want to learn coming down is really, really important. That could be a practice in itself. Just go up, come down, go up, climb down, something like that, repetitions. So come back into a standing forward bend. And then in a standing forward bend, just bring your left hand underneath your left foot. Get the toes up to the wrist. Adjust the wrist, bring more weight into the hand. Now I'm going to rotate my left arm out so the eye of the elbow faces more forward. And then take the left hand out, bring the right hand underneath, toes up the wrist, and then rotate the right shoulder out. And careful if you have rings on, right? Rotate the right shoulder out. And then roll yourself back up. So you roll yourself back up, come into a standing position, and then we're going to go back one more round into the Cossack, and then we'll finish up with a strong standing Hamanasana, right? So have the feet out nice and wide, and with the feet out wide, turn the feet out, just get into the feet. You should be able to move, right? That's big reason why I like this so much is that you don't want to be strong and static where you can't come out of the pose. That's why I like doing these transitions for people. So move the weight into the left foot, get to the height of your hips, hold that, then turn the right foot up, sit down, keep yourself up, keep yourself upright, drive through the left foot, bring yourself up, go into the right foot, push the thighs apart, sit to the height of your hips, or sit at the height of your right knee or left, whichever side you're going to. Get nice and upright, lift yourself up, drive through the right foot, bring yourself up, go to the left side, right, push the thighs apart, get yourself upright, sit down, and we're going to try to sit down. Of course, use your hands, bring your hands in front of you, behind you. If you can do it without the hands, keep fighting the descent, and then as you come down, bringing my left knee in. It could be full Virasana too, If you have experience with one, do the other, right? Learn both ways. That's like a half frog position, which is really good for the internal rotation of the left femur. I'm going to come forward over my right leg without my hands, and you'll see how much flexibility you really have. Not that it's bad to use your hands and pull or have someone on you and stuff like that. That all has its place, but it's good to come down without the hands. Now I'm going to come down with the elbows, but keep lifted chest. You can't get your elbows down, use your blocks. Use your right hand and fully pull on the top of the foot and try to lift the right heel a little bit off the floor if you can. If you can't do that, could be a big reason why you have problems with your knees. It's terminal knee extension that you need, or that you have, right? So try to do that again. Take the heel of the foot off the floor. Keep the weight in the left hip, and then release that. Keep yourself forward, keep yourself down without your hands. Bring yourself up. Bring the weight into the left foot. Point the left knee up. Again, you could use a weight. It'll make it much easier to do this. So bring the weight into the left foot. Elevate the hips a little bit. Bring yourself up. Stand nice and tall. Get the tailbone to move down. And then shift the weight into the right foot. Turn the right foot out. Really, work on holding it just as if it would in, like Kung Fu, right? Turn the foot up and broaden your legs, right? Keep yourself upright. Use your hands to descend, to get down. Again, anytime I need my hands, I'm going to use my hands, right? So I'm going to sit down nice and low, or easily or steadily, I should say. And then I'm gonna bring my right knee in, and my Virasana is pretty decent. So I like this half frog position. So I'm bringing my left hip back in space, and I'm trying to bring weight into my right side. Now I'm gonna come forward with extension. Good big sizable extension through the upper body to expose more of the hamstring, get more into the hip. And then when I do come forward, I'm just try to bring the elbows down, right, so that I'm not using my arms. Right? I'm going to reach for my foot in any capacity, and then I'm going to pull on the top of the foot. I'm going to try to take the left heel off the floor a little bit. And it's, if you've never done this before, be really easy on yourself. Don't like, has to be up, because it really doesn't have to be up. It's just in getting it up, it'll get more of a straight line to the back of the leg and the knee. And that's partially when people stand. If the knee is always bent, there's always going to be more pressure on the front of the knee, the patella. And that's why it can feel so achy, right? So I'm pulling back on the top of the foot. I'm driving down through the left thigh. Then bring yourself up, bring yourself forward. Right? It's really the splits in the front leg. So that's why I'm, kind of mixing both variations so that you can get both, right? Then bring yourself back up, point your right knee up towards the ceiling, drive your right heel into the floor, and push through the right foot, lift yourself up, and then straighten up. So you can kind of over time be like, my one leg is more weak, and you can learn how to balance that out. Just step the feet back together or hop them back in. Stand nice and tall. Getting close to the end of the class here, you're like, I'm done, I'm hot, I'm ready to lie down. Do that, of course, but let's say you want to do another split variation, is have your blocks or your chair on the left side of you, and then make your stance nice and long, wide initially, and then turn forward towards the right leg. So I just like support on the inside or outside. Doesn't, it's really more preference, but the two chairs, it's really, really great. And I don't have a chair today. This is what I'm using. And that's why I like practicing outside different surfaces and stuff like that, because it changes your practice. So it's good to have props. Sometimes it's good to learn handstands on a number of surfaces, then you can do it anywhere. I love grass, I love concrete. Like a smooth concrete is probably my favorite surface to do a handstand. Like a basketball court or tennis court is really, it's so good. It's solid, it doesn't hurt at all, the hands or the wrists. So get nice and tall, get nice and upright. And even though I'm not sitting, I can sit lower, but I've said this before, is that I can hang out here and I can manipulate things more rather than just trying to get low and a done deal, right? I want to get stronger too. So bring yourself up with your hands on your blocks, turn in, and then turn to the opposite foot. And then when you turn to the opposite foot, you might need to adjust your blocks just so that they're in the right place. And, again, maybe you're not sitting at your fullest expression. It's really not that important. It's just over time, you'll get stronger, more flexible, you'll be able to use it more, and that's why I'm using this, so that you can feel better within your body, within your mind, right? So push down through the feet. Again, it's really, really, more the focus is going to be in the back hip, and not that, as you do get lower, you can change the height, so it becomes more natural for you. Take a couple deep breaths. I'm using my right hand as minimally as I need to, so that I'm getting stronger in my hips. And then turn towards the chair or the block, and then bring the feet in a little bit closer. Step the feet back in, wider than the shoulders. Come into a squat, and then when you squat down, I'm gonna grab my right foot with my right hand. I'm gonna take my left hand behind my head. I'm gonna turn through my chest. So just bring your hips up a little bit higher. Feel the difference, way different. Take the left arm up and rotate the left arm out So turn the eye of the elbow away from your face, outside, right? Extra rotation. Then rotate it in, and then rotate it out, and get broader through the shoulders, broader through your back. Keep your hips up, and then bring your left arm down, bring your left elbow into your left thigh. Hold on to either foot with the left hand. Take the right hand behind the head, turn to the chest. Keep the hips up. I know it's very easy for me to just kind of sit down and hang out. It's better to stay up a little bit. Take the right arm up, turn out. So rotate out. A little bit of a drop in the hips will add more space between the shoulders. So it has its place. Rotate in, rotate out. Keep using effort in the right arm. Keep lifting your chest. And then bring your right arm down. Right now, if you can, and this is where an extra weight really works, hold the forearms, you can get the elbows down. Right, so just in case you need more work on your squat, right? Have your hands behind you, sit down, and I'm not gonna give you a classical Shavasana. Just sit upright, and after class, right, you have time and you want to sit, you can sit more, but just see how the difference in like split work really changes your posture dramatically. So that if you're shorter in stature, so good for you, and just physically it's incredibly therapeutic. You can just open and close the hands, right? You can move the fingers around a little bit. You can flick the fingers, and you can just have the hands down. So again, let me know how these classes are going. Let me know that you're taking them and what you'd like to see more from them. And have a beautiful weekend. Stay safe. We love the support. You want to make a donation, you can Venmo me at Jon Witt Yoga or PayPal me at Jon Witt Yoga, and helps me help more people. You know, I teach people privately. If that's something that you're interested in, I do that on Zoom, but it helps me teach these classes. So like the more people donate, right, I can teach people for free, which I'm doing. So thank you for the support. Again, stay safe. We love you. Namaste.
Namaste. Bye.